How's it going, everybody? In this video, we're going to take a look at our next topic when it comes to the SD-WAN deployment, which is VPN segmentation. This is actually going to be, it's going to take a little while to go through because there's a lot of details that we need to go through and lay out. But basically the idea of what we're going to do is take a look at how you can separate traffic from one another. Now, remember when I talked about this earlier in the series that a VPN is just a different term that Viptela used and Cisco has maintained as they move forward. A VPN is a VRF, right? And a VRF is just another routing table that is created whenever a new VPN is set up. So by default on a Cisco router or a Cisco switch that's enabled for routing, and you do a show IP route, that is the global routing table, also known as the default VRF or the default VPN. However you want to, whatever helps you correlate the two together. At the end of the day, it's just a different routing table. That's all that it is. Now, for those of you that are familiar with MPLS VPNs, this is very, very similar to what you guys have already seen. If you're not familiar with MPLS VPNs and you've ever done a thing called a VRF Lite, where you create a VRF and you apply it to a port to separate the traffic somehow. Well, I've worked with a lot of customers where I've actually created a internet VRF and I've created a WAN VRF. Where they were placed was actually on the internet-facing interface and the WAN-facing interface, so that we could do things like DMVPN, where we could have a DMVPN tunnel set up over internet and a DMVPN tunnel set up over MPLS, and all of the traffic that was learned, all the routes that were learned over DMVPN were on the LAN-facing connection. So it allowed us to separate the private WAN connectivity and the internet connectivity from the internal routing. So it's logical separation there. All the routes are still sitting on the same device, but they're logically separated into VRFs. So what we're going to be doing here is a very similar situation. Let me go ahead and pull this over. We already have a VRF on these interfaces right here. That's what VPN 0 is, right? We have VPN 0. Over here on vManage, we have this guy right here, which is VPN 512, right, for doing our management or out-of-band management. Those are the two VPNs out of the gate. We've created VPN1, and VPN1 is enabled on this interface right here, this interface right here, this interface right here, this interface right here. So all the interfaces we've already played with. Now we have 6 and 7 that are not being used. Over here, we have this guy right here that's not being used. And then on all these other ones, we have Gig 4 and Gig 3, which are going to be used for VPN 100 and VPN 101. Now, do we have a specific use case or reason why we're going to be using those independent VPNs? Really, it's just a matter of having something different, right? It's another VPN. I wanted to do more than just another VPN. I wanted to give it a little bit more scale, just a touch more complexity than a single VPN. And you might be wondering, well, how come you have additional physical interfaces? How come you're not using sub-interfaces? Well, in my testing, I tried that. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, I tried to do that a while back, and there's a really weird situation that pops up where if you want to configure, say, Gig 0/2 to do sub-interfaces, you have to put Gig 02 actually inside of VPN 0, and then you can go create the sub-interfaces inside the service VPN. And I was like, what? It made no sense to me whatsoever. And then any type of 802.1q encapsulated traffic, so a sub-interface between vEdge 5 and iOS 14. I wasn't able to set the VLAN, I wasn't able to set the encapsulation, nothing. No .1q tagging, nothing was available, at least nothing I could find. So I chalked this up to, okay, sub-interfaces aren't going to work in this solution, which is normally what I would do. Because you can totally put, say, Gig 0/2.10 into a different VRF and allow the logical segmentation to come into play. That's 100% possible. Matter of fact, and if you check out the service provider content that I did a while back, we often do that. We would take a sub-interface, we would take it and put it into a different VRF or different VPN to provide segmentation between customer A and customer B. But I don't want to get into like how MPLS works and stuff like that, but that was just how I accomplished that. Now, the way this is going to work is we have to go out and we have to create additional VPNs, we have to create the templates, we have to create the interfaces for them, we have to create the routing for it, all that type of stuff. So it's going to take a little bit to go through and set up. Okay. Once we get that all set up through templatization, or templating, however you want to refer to it, then we'll go through and take a look at doing the policy to it. The policy is rather involved. It does take some time to go through, and basically what will end up happening is out of the gate, we're going to have a couple of VPNs. We'll have VPN 1, 100, and 101. Okay, this one's already running out of the gate. Good to go. 100 and 101 are what we're going to add, but by default, there won't be any communication from 1 to 100 or 1 to 101, or there won't be any inter-VRF communication. Will just not happen, right? This won't work, right? Or this communication right here. None of this will work. So we're going to have to enable it. So we'll create a policy. This will be a topology policy or VPN membership policy. We'll create the policy and we'll basically set it up to where, okay, I want to allow traffic from VPN1 to be able to leak into VPN 100 and 101. And traffic from VPN 100 will be able to leak into 101 and VPN1. We'll take a look at exactly how that gets set up. Before we can do any of that, we have to go through and create the templates. We have to go ahead and push them to the V-edges. It's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to do that. That's going to be the very first thing that we do in this video is go through and set that up. So I'm going to walk you guys through all the different sites that we're going to go do that on, get that all squared away, and then we're going to push them down to the V-edges. If we're not past the 35-40 minute mark, then I'll continue doing the policy, because the policy in and of itself isn't very difficult, but I don't want to have a super long video on VPN segmentation. So let's go ahead and knock this process out. It's going to take us a little bit to do, so without any further ado, let's dive into the config and get this bad boy started. I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and pull up vmanage right here, and here we are on that. I'm going to actually disable the policy that we have created for the traffic data policy for the NAT rule that we created in a previous video. That's actually still enabled. So to disable a policy, you go to policies here, and we can see that the NAT policy is still enabled. Just click on it, come over here to the three dots and deactivate. And then it's going to actually pull the config off, and then we'll be in good shape. So it's going to take a couple seconds for that to happen. So what I'm going to go do is, while that's working, I'm going to go to templates and click on feature templates. Now there's nothing here really, other than what we've already created, right? So we have our VPN 0 for the dual site, and everything else is looking pretty good. What I'm going to go do is I'm going to start creating templates for each one of the config connections, because what we have to do is, for the dual site, we're going to have to create multiple connections. We're going to have to create the VPN 100 template. We're going to have to create the interfaces. We'll have to create the routing. So we'll do that on all of them, and then we're going to create them on VPN 100 for each site, and then VPN 101 for each site, and then work our way down as we go, because it'll just be a matter of copying. So let's go ahead and actually do that. So for service VPN 1, I'm going to go grab, say, VPN 1 right here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this one. So for dual site, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to come in here and say 100. I'm going to copy that and then paste that, so VPN 100, so we know it's dual site for VPN 100. Copy that. Okay. Now that we have a VPN 100 created, I'm then going to come up and I've got to create a template for the interfaces. So I'm going to scoot this guy over, and we have gig 06 and gig 07. Now if you look over here on the left hand side, you see 10.1.100, right? That's what I'm hovering over. Well, that's going to associate to gig 00. So it's an even numbered interface, and the interface over here is even numbered. Okay? So gig 0/6. I'm going to take this policy, I'm going to create this one right here. I'm going to take VPN1, gig 0/2, right? I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to copy it. Copy. And this is going to be VPN 100 and gig 0/6. I'm going to copy and paste that in, and then copy. And then I'm going to do the same thing for gig 0/3. And I'll just adjust the let's just do this one real quick. So in here for gig 0/6, I'm going to come in here and edit this guy. Well, let me edit the template before I apologize for jumping around, but on VPN 100, I just remembered I had to make a quick change on here. I'm going to click on here and click on edit. And then I need to modify the template, the VPN itself. This needs to be 100. And then everything else looks pretty good. So we're in good shape there. I'm going to go ahead and update that. It's not applied anywhere, so we're not going to push the config. The next thing I'm going to go do is dual site VPN 100 interface, right? I'm going to come over here. I'm going to edit. And then up here at the top, I'm going to go here and do /6. And I'm going to, where it says the IPv4 address, I'm going to click down here, device specific, and I'm going to change this up to gig 0/6 and VPN 100 like so. So now that it's been updated, I'm going to click on update. And there we go. The next thing I'm going to go do, because the cool thing about this, with the few things that I've already done, is that creates the configuration for where I need it to be. So I have gig 0/6 here and gig 0/7 here. So what I'll be able to do, as I'm configuring for this for VH2, it's going to apply for this one as well. So the dual site, let me go ahead and organize these. The dual site VPN 100 interface gig 0/6 is going to apply to VH1 gig 0/6 as well as VH2 gig 0/6. That makes it very, very easy to work with. Now all I have to do is come in here on this particular template, and for gig 0/6, come over here and copy. And I'm going to go ahead and change this to be 7 and VPN 101. Copy and paste. Copy that. So there we go. That gets that guy going. So we have VPN 101. I'm going to come in here to VPN 100 template. I'm going to copy it. VPN 101. Copy. And copy that so that it's now copied. And then I'm going to come over here to VPN 101 template. I'm going to change this to be VPN 101. Update. And then I wish they would just organize them in alphabetical order. And then when I come down here, gig 0/7, I need to edit this one as well. Edit. And then we're going to change this to be gig 0/7. Come down a little bit, click on the device specific, and change this to be 101 gig 0/7, like that. Click on update, and then we're good to go. So what we've done so far is we've created the VPN 100 and VPN 101 templates. We've created the sub interface, the physical interfaces for the VPN 100 and VPN 101, so they'll apply to both. The last thing we need to go and do is create a VPN 100 and 101 OSPF template. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to organize these again real quick so it's easy to find. VPN1 OSPF template. We're going to go ahead and copy this. Change this to be VPN 100 OSPF template. Copy and paste. Copy. And then here we are, OSPF 100. We're going to come in here. We're going to edit this. And what we need to do is come down to the area, right? We need to edit this, the two interfaces. We're going to remove these two interfaces, gig 2 and gig 3. We're going to add interfaces. And this one here, we're going to type in GE 0/6. Click on Save Changes. Save Changes again. And that gets us where we need to be. So we're in VPN 100, so that's gig 0/6. Click on Update. And then I'm going to go ahead and scoot this guy over, organize it, and then it's going to be VPN 100 OSPF template. We're going to copy this to make this VPN 101. Copy and paste that in there. Now VPN 101 template for OSPF. Edit. And then we're going to come over here to area. Edit this right here. Go to the interface. And we're going to change this from gig 0/6 to gig 0/7. So I just showed you a couple different ways to do it. You can either delete the interfaces or you can just update the existing one, save changes, and update. Excellent. So now that we've done that, we're in good shape. Now this is that was probably the more the more difficult process. Now what we can go ahead and do is we can actually go in and start creating the templates for the other sites based off of what we've already got configured, because we've already got them done. So what I will go ahead and do is get that guy squared away. So we're going to go grab VPN100 template, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to copy this guy, but instead of being dual site, I'm going to say single site. Copy and paste that in there. Copy. Now the cool thing about it is it's already set for VPN100, right? And then for any little minor changes, for example, the interface, we're going to change the name to be, say, gig0/3, and that will be for VPN100. So small little subtle updates as we're going along. Once you have the base in place, it makes it a whole lot easier to move forward with. So there's that one. So we have single site configured VPN100, right? And we don't have to update the VPN100 because it's already there. Then we're going to go VPN100 gig0/6 template. We're going to go ahead and edit this, or I'm sorry, copy. And this should be, this will be gig, in this case here on the single sites will be gig 4 on both, because they are the even interface gig0/4 ties to 10.3.100. So let's go ahead and pull vmanage back up. We're going to say VPN100 is going to be gig 0/4. We're going to copy and paste that in like so. And I'm going to change this to be, oops, I need to make that single site. Single site, like that. Copy. And now that that's been created, I get to come down here to single site for this guy right here, gig 4. Edit. Just because you named it doesn't mean it changes the actual interface. I'm going to come over here, be gig 4. And I'm going to come down here to device specific. It's going to be gig 4. So that changes that information right there. Update. And because the fact that we're dealing with gig 4 on both, that means it's going to apply to VEdge 3 and VEdge 4. So we know we're in good shape there. So the next one again is going to go, I'm going to grab, that's VPN on the single site, that's VPN100 template, VPN100 interface. Now we have to go to VPN100 OSPF template. So in this guy right here, VPN100 OSPF template, we're going to copy this. I'm going to say this will be single site. Copy and paste. Copy it. Makes it a whole lot easier to do the copies than it does to go through and configure them individually, right? So now we've got that going for us. Single site VPN100 OSPF. We're going to come over here, edit, and we're going to go grab the area, adjust this, the interface, and we're going to change this to be gig 0/4. Like that. Save changes again, and then update. Beautiful. So now I've done that that takes care of the single site for VPN100. So now I'm going to go do the same thing for VPN101. So organize them again. We're going to grab VPN101 template. Actually, we can come down here to this guy, but it's easier just to grab them from the other site. But I'm going to grab VPN100 template. Copy that. This will be VPN101 because the naming convention is already pretty much right there. I'm just going to go grab it from here. Copy. Come down to VPN101 template. I'm going to go grab VPN100, the template for the interface. I'm going to copy this. This will be VPN101, but gig 3. Copy and paste that in. Copy. Now that's done. Come down here to single site VPN101 gig 3. And then last but certainly not least is the OSPF template. Come over here, copy, change this from VPN101 OSPF to VPN101. There we go, VPN101 OSPF. Copy. Excellent. Now I just have to go down to that one, to this particular template, edit this guy, go down to the area configuration, and then edit this guy, and change this to be gig 0/3. There we go. Save changes, update. Now the one thing I have to do, I think I neglected to do this a moment ago, but as I'm thinking about the process, let me go back to the interface config real quick and make sure that I've updated the VPN 101 for the single site. Let me edit this guy real quick because I don't think I changed the actual interface, and I did not. Gig 3. Come down here to this guy, device specific VPN 101 and gig 0-3. There we go. IPv4 address. Click on update. Okay, now that that's been updated, I'll be in good shape there. So I've done all that for all the sites up to this point. And if I come down to the MPLS site, this is basically the same concept. So here, gonna go do the same thing. So I'll start with VPN. Let me organize these real quick. We'll start off with VPN 100 template. Right? We're going to copy that. I'm going to come over here and say MPLS only VPN 100 template. Paste that in. Copy. There we go. We're going to come down here to VPN dual site VPN 100 template. Copy this. We're going to change this to be VPN 100. In this case here is a little bit different for MPLS because it's gig 0/3 ties up to. We could probably switch it around. Let's actually go ahead and do that real quick. I'll make this 101 and this 100. Just so that it matches on other sites. VPN 100. This will be gig 4. We will copy and actually let me take this real quick and change this to be MPLS only. MPLS only. Copy and paste that in like so. There we are. Excellent. There we are. So scroll down a little bit more. MPLS only. The last thing we have to do is create the OSPF template for 100. Copy that real quick. Change this to be MPLS only. MPLS only. Copy and paste that in. There we go. And come down to MPLS only. We have our configuration. So the nice thing about this is we don't have to mess with any of the configs, right? Because the interface is already tied to the associated interfaces. So for example, OSPF template is already tied to gig 0/4. So we don't have to update that, which makes our life a whole lot easier. I am going to go in here and I'm going to copy VPN 100 and I'm going to update this to be VPN 101. VPN 101, copy and paste that in. And then I'm going to come down here to the template for MPLS only, VPN 101. Edit that and make sure that I have updated those pieces. Update. And we're in good shape there. Organize. And then if I was to do a quick spot check for VPN 100 gig 0/4 and go to edit, that should all line up. Gig 06. Oh, I'm glad that's right. I forgot to. Glad I checked. Gig 4 to gig 4. So there we have it. Make sure that you update your stuff. Don't listen to me for everything. Make sure you organize your stuff. So we have that. We'll come down here to MPLS only. We have gig 4 is now updated to gig 4. We have that. So I'm going to go grab gig 4 for VPN 100. I'm going to copy. VPN 101. And this is going to be gig 3. Like so. Copy it. And then I'm going to come down to this guy right here because this is 101 gig 3. Edit this real quick. Change this to be 3. And here, device specific 101 gig 3. And update. There we go. Bring this over just a little bit, organize them. And we have 100, the template, the interface, and OSPF. We have VPN 101, the template, the interface. Now we need to go create the OSPF template. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. VPN 101. Copy and paste. Copy. Alright, now that that's good to go, come down here to VPN 101, MPLS, or OSPF. I'm going to edit and change the interface around. Area, edit, interface, and make sure this is changed to be gig 0/3. Save changes, update. And one thing you want to make sure is on MPLS for all these other ones. We're just going to go double check real quick, make sure that all the other ones are squared away. OSPF, we'll edit area, edit that, interfaces, gig 0/6. So here on MPLS, it's for VPN 100, this is going to be gig 4. Save changes, update. Alright, so we're good to go there. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick spot check just to make sure everything's looking the way it needs to. We've got all of our interfaces created now for all of them, which is what we need to have. So if I look at the single site for gig 0/ for single site VPN 101 OSPF, let's just go ahead and just edit that real quick to make sure that it's appropriately set up. Interfaces. Okay, it is good, so we're good to go there. So just making sure that I haven't made any mistakes in my configuration. Now that we've got the templates all created, the next thing for us to go do is go to the device templates and add those additional service VPNs to the appropriate devices and go push them. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. On device, we're going to go to dual site first, click on here, go to edit, and then down here underneath the service VPNs, we're going to say we're going to add 2 VPNs right here, 2, hit the plus sign, bam, those VPNs are now there. I'm going to go ahead from the drop down and choose the new VPN. This is going to be dual site VPN 100. We're going to add an interface, so this will be dual site VPN 100 gig 0/6. We're going to add an OSPF process here. Come in here, this will be dual site VPN 100 OSPF template, which is what we want, and we're good to go. Now we get to come down here to, this will be dual site VPN 101. We're going to go add a VPN interface. This will be dual site VPN 101 gig 0/7, and then add OSPF. We're going to add dual site VPN 101 OSPF template. Excellent. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on update. And then it's going to start asking me for the syntax in order to get all this stuff working. So I'm going to go ahead and move this guy over a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and click on edit device template, and there's only a couple lines that we have to add in. So here it says VPN 101 and VPN 100. So there's an error in the configuration. So I have to go update this because one of these VPN interfaces has not been updated correctly. So let's go ahead and cancel that. I made a mistake. This is why you double check your work. So back to the templates, the feature templates, and I'm going to go underneath VPN, the interface right here. Let's go check the VPN 101, make sure that he is set up correctly. Edit. VPN 101, so he is correct. Let me go down to the VPN 100. This guy right here is looking like it's supposed to be in a different VPN. Let's edit this guy. Gig 0/7 VPN 1. So all that stuff is looking correct. Good. So I think I might have been okay. Now that I'm looking back through the config. Let's try that one more time. Actually, let me go down to these guys real quick. Gig 7, OSPF. It was the interface templates that was throwing me off. I think I might have been okay. I might have overreacted. So let me go ahead back to this guy. Let's go ahead and edit. And let's re-add those templates again. So we're going to go ahead in the service VPN section. We're going to go ahead and add 2. Add them. So we're going to go We'll add one at a time just to make sure we're not doing anything foolish. VPN 100, add OSPF. We'll add VPN 100 and then VPN interface. And then VPN 100 gig 0/6. Okay. Since we're right here, let's just go ahead and add it. VPN 101 OSPF. VPN 101 OSPF and then VPN interface. We'll add 101 gig 0/6 or 7, excuse me. Update. And then we'll go ahead and get the config updated real quick once it finishes loading. So we'll go ahead and edit this. Okay, so I think I might have been okay. Let me just do this. Let me type in 10.100. What's the IP addressing here? Oops. This is going to be 10.100.1 on this side. So 10.100.1. Is that right? I feel like I'm missing something. 10.100. That's right. I thought that was a little off. 10.1.100.1/24. Actually, sorry, 101. 101 here, and 10.1.100.1/24 here. Okay. We're going to click on update, and then we're going to go down to this guy and edit device template, and then down here for VH2 will be the same thing. Gig 0/6 will be for this IP addressing scheme will be 10.1.VPN100. In this particular case is going to be 101. This will be 103.1 because we're dealing with gig 0/6 here. I'm sorry, this will be 7. Yeah, 103. Dot 2, sorry, /24. And then we'll do 10.1.102.2/24. Let me go ahead and update that. Let me make sure the other side here is set up right. Gig 07, gig 00/24. Okay, cool. Click on next. We're going to go configure devices. Push that config down to VH2 and VH3. Or yeah, VH1 and 2. Excuse me. I'm going to pause while that pushes. All right, the config has been pushed, which is what we wanted to see. So if we go down to our vEdges, we look at here. We look at vEdge1. We log in real quick. We do a show run VPN 100. We should see that OSPF is set up on that particular interface, and we're in good stuff. So now what I get to go do is on this particular interface, I'm going to come over here to router 7. I'm going to take a small break, and I'm going to go and configure iOS 7 real quick. So we do show run VRF. No VRFs configured. So I'm going to create a couple VRFs, VPN 100 and VPN 101. So I'm going to type in VRF definition of VPN 100. The RD is going to be 100:100, and the address family IPv4 unicast. That creates the VRF. I'm going to create VPN 101 now. The RD is going to be 101.101, address family IPv4 unicast. That's a local configuration. I'm going to type in interface gig 0/0. I'm going to type in VRF forwarding is going to be VPN 100 because that's going to be the even, so it's gig 0/0 VPN 100. IP address in this case here will be 10.1.100.7/24. No shut it. And then I'm going to go do the same thing for gig 2. Now that that's in place, go to gig 2. VRF forwarding is going to be VPN 100. The IP address in this case here will be 10.1.102. I'm sorry, 102 here. In this case here, 102.7, and then no shut. That'll put those configurations in that place right there. I'm going to hit the up arrow, and this time I'm going to go to gig 0/1. VRF forwarding is going to be VPN 101. The IP addressing for this guy will be 101.7, no shut. Give that a couple seconds to do its thing. And then last but certainly not least, gig 3, VRF forwarding, is VPN 101. The IP address here will actually be 103 and no shut. That'll bring that up. Give that a couple seconds to come online. So do show IP interface brief. They all should line up the way they need to. Do show VRF. The VRFs are applied to the interfaces as they need to be, which is what we want. Now I get to go create a couple of OSPF configurations. So I'm going to type in router OSPF, and then the process ID is going to be 100, but VRF VPN 100. I'm going to type in network of 10.1.0.0, 0.0.255.255, area 0. Okay? Momentarily, we should get an OSPF route or adjacency for the VRF aware OSPF process. I'm going to come up here and do, and we just did with gig 2, and we should with gig 1 or gig 0, which we just did. Hit the up arrow a couple times. I'm going to go here and make this VPN OSPF 101 for VPN 101, and then hit the up arrow and do this. So that'll get our configuration up and running the way we need it to. Okay? Now, I'm going to go, that's going to take a couple seconds for it to come online, but once it does, I'm going to go ahead and we have our adjacencies up now, which is what we want. So I'm going to go and create interface loopback 100. VRF forwarding is going to be VPN 100, and IP address is going to be 10.1.7.7. Let's do 7. Let's do 10.1. Let's do 70.7, so that it's an even number, and then that'll automatically get advertised into OSPF. And then we're going to come over here, loopback 101, VPN VRF forwarding 101. Come over here and make this 71. So they're unique themselves, 70 and then 1. Okay, so do show IP interface brief, do show VRF. We can see that those are associated. If we come back over here to VH1 and we do a show IP route VPN 100, we should see those routes coming through, right? We see 70 dot that, all that's looking good. If we look at 101, 71.7, excellent. So that means everything is working up to this point. Next thing we're going to go do is configure this on VH3 and VH4 and get them squared away, and then VH5 and go from there. So on vManage, right here, we're going to log in again real quick. And we're going to go to the templates. We're going to go to the single site right here, edit, and we're going to go to service VPN. We're going to add 2 VPNs here, add them, and then we're going to come over here. This is going to be single site VPN 100, OSPF, add single site 100 OSPF template, and then VPN interface. We're going to add single site VPN 100 gig 0/4, and then we're going to add VPN single site VPN 101 template, add OSPF, vEdge single site VPN 101 OSPF template, and then VPN interface single site VPN 101 right there. Click on update, and then we're going to go give that a couple seconds to do its thing. Let that load real quick. We're going to edit device template. Fortunately for us, it's just the interfaces. In this particular case here, it's going to be 10.3.101.3/24, and then 100.3/24. Okay, so we've got that separation in place there. We're going to click on update, and then for VH4, same thing. Edit device template. Come down here to 10.4.101.4/24 and 10.4.100.4/24. There we go. So now we're squared away. We're going to click on update, click on next, configure devices, push the config down to both devices, and OK. So that'll take a couple of minutes. While that's being pushed, I'm going to come back over here to iOS 13 and do the exact same thing I just did on iOS 7. So I'm going to go to config T, VRF. Actually, if I just, yeah, let's do it this way. VRF definition is VPN 100. The RD, 100:100. And then, oh, I've already got it created. Do show VRF. Okay, perfect. So they're already squared away. I forgot that I had tested this already. And do show run section OSPF. I should already have OSPF configurations in place for this. Give that a second to pull up, which I do. VPN 100, exactly. So beautiful. So it's already coming online, which is what I want to see. And that is exactly what I'm looking for. So do show IP route VPN VRF VPN 100. Excellent. So the routes for the VPNs, you notice how I'm getting OSPF routes from VPN 100 and stuff like that. So we know that that's working. If I look at VPN 101, same thing there. I'm getting routes from VPN 100. Did I look at the same one? I'm not sure why 70.7 is coming across. Did I make a mistake on 7's config? Do show IP, do show run interface loopback 101. No, that's right. This is one of those problems you run into. Let's check VH3 real quick to make sure that the config is right. So we do show run VPN 100. Okay, so that's the mistake I made. So you'll notice that this guy right here should be in this should be VPN 101, should be separated. So I made a mistake there. So this is where I was talking about where I thought I made an error in my config. This is where I actually made it. So I actually have to make a modification. So let's go actually fix this real quick, because this would be potentially allowing traffic to go somewhere it shouldn't be going. So think of like a HIPAA or a PCI compliant. I'm allowing connectivity to something I don't want to have access to, which I thought was a little weird when I saw here on 13 that I had access to the same subnets twice. It's like I should not have 100 and 101 showing up here for VPN 100. I should only have 100 and 102 showing up. So let me go over to here and adjust that configuration. On the templates, let's go to feature templates and make sure we update that real quick for the single site, because things do get, mistakes do happen. So VPN 100, let's just go ahead and edit this. And that's what I thought. So this right here never got updated to 101. So small oversight on my part, but small oversight can also lead to big problems. So I'm actually glad you guys got to see an error in my configuration, because this would be one of those things where you'd have a second set of eyes come in and take a look. Definitely useful. Click on update. So it's going to make me update this config. So edit device template. So we have to come in here, and this guy here is going to be 10.3.101.3/24. Update that one. And then over here we're going to do edit device template, and it's going to be 10.4.101.4/24. Click on update. Next. Configure devices. Push the config. Okay, there we go. So while that's working, I'm going to go just double check to make sure that the feature templates for MPLS are set up correctly, because that makes me wonder now, are they set up right? MPLS only. Let's grab MPLS only, VPN 101, make sure that he is right. Edit. He is correct. So I caught that one, but I missed the first one. So we have that in place. So let's go back to here and let's look at VH3 and do a show run VPN 100 and then show run VPN 101. Excellent. That's better. And then on iOS 13, we should see VPN 100, a much thinner. There we go. The loading is now done. Come back over here to this guy. So I see 100 and 102, right? And then I also see traffic coming in from router 4, 100.10.4.100, which is exactly what I would expect to see. If I look at 101, I should only see 101 actually isn't learning anything at the moment. And you know why? I betcha. There it goes. Hadn't given it enough time. So everything's coming across the way that it needs to. The last thing we're going to go do real quick is going to go over to the MPLS device and get it online, because then we can actually do full VPN segmentation everywhere. So we're going to go ahead and get that knocked out real quick. Come back over here to the devices, click on MPLS, right here, edit, and then we're going to go add those two VPNs. So service VPN, add the VPNs right here, 2, and then hit the plus sign. We're going to go here and VPN, MPLS only VPN100, add OSPF, and then MPLS VPN100, add the interface, and then the MPLS VPN 100 gig 0/4. Okay. Next up is going to be VPN 101, add OSPF, and then MPLS only VPN 100 OSPF, and then add the VPN interface. And then we're going to have MPLS VPN 100 or 101 right there. So we're going to click on update. Give that a couple seconds to load. And then we're going to go ahead and update the template. So here we're going to type in 10.5.101.5/24 and and then 10.5.100.5/24. Click update, click next, configure devices, and let that push out. While doing that, I'm going to go check on iOS 14, make sure he's squared away. So show run VRF. Okay, I had the VRF configuration already in place. Now, while that's being pushed, one thing I want to talk about real quick is this capability VRF Lite. This is a big deal, especially when you're dealing with OSPF in terms of a VRF. When you have this configuration in place, what's going to end up happening is, and let me try to think about how to explain this real quick. I explain this in the MPLS Layer 3 VPN videos when you're doing OSPF as a PE to CE routing protocol, where you've got multiple VRFs. And it has to do with the fact that the routes that are coming in are going to be stopped because of the P bit. Or is it the P bit? I believe it's the P bit. There's going to be a flag that's turned on, which is going to be the do not propagate flag. And what that's going to basically mean is, as traffic comes down from VH5 to iOS 14, it's going to have this flag turned on. This flag is going to prevent the routes from leaving the OSPF database and being injected in the routing table. So when you type in capability VRF Lite, you're saying, you know what, I don't care about that flag. Go ahead and send it to me anyway. So let's go ahead and take a look at the configuration. So VH5, we log into him real quick and do a show run VPN 100. That one's squared away. And VPN 101, he's squared away as well. Let's go back to 14, show IP interface brief. Those guys are squared away, which is what we want to see. Now, I haven't created additional loopbacks on the V-Edge or on the iOS devices because of the fact that when I go through and set this up, I wanted it to look like there were specific routes coming from the hub down to the spokes. Because we are going to do a free-for-all, let everything be sent to every other VRF. So we're going to do like any-to-any propagation in the event that that's something you want to do. And then we'll take a look at allowing just VPN1 traffic from the hub site go to the spokes. And so basically VPN1 to VPN 100 and 101, and then anything coming from 100 and 101 to VPN1. We'll take a look at exactly what that looks like. So we do a show IP OSPF neighbors. We have that configured on gig 0/0. So show run section OSPF real quick. Make sure that that's configured correctly. So we have 101, VPN 100. Okay, that should be squared away. So let's see why VH5 is not forming a connection. Let's look at 100. VPN. Yep, and then we'll look at 14. Show IP interface brief. Okay, so show run interface gig 0/1. Oh, I changed them around, that's why. I forgot about that. That's my mistake. So let me go fix that real quick because I swapped the interfaces a moment ago because I made it so that the odd numbered interface right here, gig 0/3, would line up with VPN 101. So that's not going to work. It's easier for me to configure the changes on the router here. So let me go do a quick show run real quick, and I can just edit this config real quick. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Notepad, and we're going to go make a couple of quick adjustments real quick. So let me just mouse through this stuff real quick, and I'm going to go grab from the very top. I'll grab the VPNs the VRFs are already created, so it's really only the interfaces that need to be updated. And so this stuff right here, and OSPF config. Everything else is it's whatever. So I'm going to go over here to this guy, paste this stuff in, move this up a little bit, and so we're going to make this 101, make this 100, like so. This will be VPN 101, this will be 100 here, and then I'm going to change this to be, this will be 101. Actually, I don't want to mess with that because the VRF is already created. So I'll just put in here network of 101, and this one will be 100. It'll be a little off, but that's okay. Actually, you know what I'll do to make life simple? 0 here, and then 255 here. Same thing here, just to make it easier configuration-wise. There we go. And then OSPF1, we're going to go ahead and type in network of 10.5.14.0, 0.0.0.255, area 0. There we go. So then all this configuration right here will just simply get applied like so. We're going to go over here and just paste this in. So do show IP interface brief. It didn't like something I typed in. It says that 101 do show run interface gig 0/1, interface gig 0/1, and the IP address for this guy is IP address of 10.5.101.14/24. That'll get that up and running momentarily anyway, and we'll be in good shape. So that's the VPN segmentation. So show IP OSPF neighbors, there we go. The neighbors are up. Show IP route VRF VPN 100. I am learning routes in from so the HQ site, as well as 3 and 4 respectively, and VPN 100, same thing there. I'm learning stuff in from VPN 101, the HQ sites, and then VH3 and VH4 respectively. And if I do just a show IP route, we're also learning a bunch of routes in from the rest of the network in VPN1. So right now, everything's working the way that it's anticipated. So right now, we're almost at an hour. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video now. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and dive into the actual VPN segmentation configuration through the policies, which will be a centralized control policy. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.